Hey, CLEO.
Hey, good evening, Branka. How are you?
Great. It's
Ready
been
for
a really
8
good
o'clock
day today.
news?
Bit cold, but it's been a great day.
It
How are
has.
you?
I've got, my little kitties are sick, so everyone's up and awake and grizzly. So I'm hoping to get through this segment without interruptions tonight.
Okay. What we're going to talk about today?
The 90-day reform that Chris Minns is putting through, I believe it'll start next year. He's abolishing the 90-day no grounds termination notice.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I already had some clients that have been inquiry about it and already worry about that and what's that bringing to our clients as investors. What's that mean for them?
Yeah, it's an interesting topic, definitely, for us that are in the trenches of property management. It will impact us greatly. I feel the 90-day notice is a bit of a saving grace for some of our clients that are frustrated with their tenancy and have no way out. The 90 days notice did provide them with an outlet to end an agreement on terms that they didn't have to really stipulate the reasons for. I don't know that this is a good thing. I'm a bit worried about it, to be fair. I do understand the sentiment of wanting to help tenants because there is a shortage in our industry for properties, but I just feel sometimes when these reforms come about, it can backfire because the owners aren't protected anymore, and then tenants will feel the pinch based on I won't say retaliation, but just that, some of the clients' hands will be forced to make decisions that weren't supportive of tenants to begin with.
Yeah. How I understood that this was more due to rent increases and tenants that didn't have a lease in a place. They would receive a 90 days notice, then that owners can increase the rent more, then can give them a termination, move them out, and then put the property back on the market and get more money. Personally, I didn't have that issues. I didn't have that problem, and none of my clients really gone that way to increase the rent and terminate the tenant just that they would like to increase the rent. I didn't have it. Not sure if you had that in your portfolio, but I don't think so that we had in our agency these kind of issues. Usually, when a landlord requests property back and when we issue 90 days notice, it is usually because they renovating a place or they moving back to the property. Yeah. But now I'm sure that probably other real estate agent did have this issue, and that is being flagged with government and all that, and this is why they brought up this and they brought this legislation. I don't know what to say otherwise. But this morning when I listened and also when I read some news, it's saying that after issuing 90 days notice and the property cannot be rented back or put back on the market before 30 days.
If the notice is for a renovation.
That's right. That's right. How they're going to monitor that, I'm not sure. But then again, is that going to be just a new carpet installed or property painted and then put back on the market? Is that taking really 30 days or not? And is it there maybe some amount on the front of that, like it's a $sign on front of that renovation that has to be done, that probably it will be, you know, this will for sure bring a more tribunal cases or something like that. Or I don't know how they're going to monitor this, really.
Well, yeah, it's quite interesting, the terms. Like you said, most owners that give a 90 days, it's very rarely, to move a tenant along that's problematic or because of rent arrears or anything like that. It's usually because they just need, their possession back of the property, whether they're going to have a friend move in or they don't know what they're going to do. Or I feel like this has come off the back of that one rent increase per year legislation that came in during COVID. And now they've
Yeah.
backed it up with a no 90-day grounds, trying to put a band-aid on our property shortage issue. I don't see how giving the landlords more restrictions on their property is going to service the tenant better. If anything, if you're a new landlord coming into the business and you're an investor, this is going to deter you even more. Like, you've got less control of why you want your property back. The no grounds notice was no grounds. The reason is no grounds, and you're giving the maximum notice period. And I'm not, part of this legislative train that makes these reforms, but I would have thought, if you're trying to protect tenants or help them because there's a shortage, well, maybe make the 90 days a little bit longer, for example, rather than put conditions in place as to why an owner can't take back their property. Another thing that concerns me is, because it's all uncharted territory right now, we don't know how it's going to play out, what conditions, but owners now have till the end of this year. What if there's an influx of owners now that go, well, I've had plans, this is worrying me, and now we're going to have all these owners wanting 90-day notices to get in place of these reforms because they've had a tenant just under 20 years or for whatever reason. Where are all these tenants going to go? There's no rental properties available. Will that backfire? Because now owners are scared, and it's going to force this year to move on a whole bunch of tenants that might not necessarily have been given notice in the first place. And with the shortage, that's surely going to make it worse for tenants, if not better.
That's right, because they scaring landlords and investors to invest the money in a property, that's for sure. And then where these tenants will live if there is a shortage of the properties, and it will be more shortage.
Look, I think as well, it'll actually make landlords, a 12-month lease won't be attractive anymore. It'll be a 6-month lease because it's shorter term. So if you're thinking maybe you're going to sell, or you think you might get into an agreement long term where you have less control over a periodic agreement, because a lot of our tenants are on a periodic agreement, right? The owners aren't fussed with them signing a fixed term because they have no plans, in the immediate future. But for an owner that's, taking on a new lease, for example, and their financial situation isn't sound, we've had 12 interest rate rises, maybe another one coming through the woodwork. I wouldn't sign a 12-month lease knowing that I might not be able to get my tenant out in 90 days. I'm going to sign a 6-month lease. So what about those tenants that need a 12-month lease, for example, because of school catchment areas? A 6-month lease isn't going to suffice. So that's going to hinder their situation again. Makes no sense.
I think that all this legislation are really bringing more damage to tenants than anything else, because it's not in a favor to the landlords or to the tenants. Usually when we lease a property, we always lease a property as a long-term leasing, isn't it? We never think that the tenant will, that is a short lease term, and that tenant will move out after 12 months, because 6 months is too short. But then now even 12 months is short. You just settled in a place and you have to move out, especially with family, with kids. And as you mentioned, if they're moving in the areas where the school is, and kids are going for 7 years, 6, 7 years in same school. They want to stay that long in that property. That's why they took a property in the first place. And now with all this legislation and all the rules and everything what they're bringing, they just are making things difficult and making the people insecure.
Yeah, look,
That's
instead of making it easier for landlords with mortgage stress over these last 2-3 years, they're making it harder for the landlords, which in
that,
turn is going to make it harder for the tenants. Like these one rent increase per year has forced owners to, you know, like you said, there wasn't many owners that sent a 90 days, but if you got a long-standing tenant who's on really low rent, there was no real option for them, you know, if the property wasn't making them money. So the 90 days no grounds to, you know, try and recoup some of those costs was keeping that investment property in the market. Now that's not going to happen.
that's right. And I think that making all this legislation how to protect tenants or landlords or investors, I think why they don't give any legislation to the banks when that's gonna happen. Like only one rent increase in 12 months. I wish that the rent increase doesn't exist really, and people can afford their mortgage, and that they not need to worry about increase in their repayments. Why they not doing anything about that?
I know, and it's come off the back of COVID, where some of these owners had, you know, they received less money. Some of these owners rented their property well below market rate. I had some owners, you know, in Mossman in the city area during COVID, they had to reduce their rents by $200 a week. And their tenants, you know, remained on in the property. They recoup one increase per year. How does that suffice with 12 interest rate rises? Again, some of those owners are forced to sell. People that have the opportunity to buy are usually at the moment people moving in. Again, less property for tenants. It's not, I can't see any of these recent reforms that are actually helping the tenant. You know, the stability of keeping a tenant in a property where an owner can't afford it is just, I don't know, it seems crazy to me. I can't.
It is tough time, and it is difficult time, but what's happening, government looks like is there to write legislations, and us as a agent is to make sure that we are protecting our clients' assets, and that we are working with the tenants and finding a roof above their head. That's all I can say.
We do. We constantly shuffle tenants around from property to property. We're always talking in our business. You know, I've got a tenant, the owner's giving them 90 days. What do you have? They're great tenants. Can we move them here? Can we move them there? But if there's no stock, where are we trying to shuffle them to? You know, the reasoning behind a 90 days notice isn't usually anything sinister. I can't see it making a huge change for tenants. I don't know. Like you said, NCAT, you know, they're full at the best of times dealing with rent arrears and things like that. On top of that,
Yeah.
you know, as property managers, I feel we've got a lot of work ahead of us before the end of this year and these reforms take place, you know.
Yeah. And I just hope that our clients that we have here at Novak, they are supporting us as well, and that we, as I said on the beginning, we didn't have people that would terminate a tenant just for no reason, or just that they can recoup more money. And I'm hoping that will stay same, and that we will keep looking after both parties on the same
For
level.
sure. For sure. And these rent reviews and rent increases the owners are setting on tenants in our area on the Northern Beaches, you know, rents are quite stable, as in the market is consistent with, you know, current rates. And most of our tenants, you know, the properties aren't way below market value, or an owner is forced to have them out to get these rent increases. And, you know, tenants do understand, and the tenants I've been dealing with that have rent increases in place over the last year or so, whilst, you know, owners were in stress, you know, it's been a very fluid conversation, a lot of empathy there. Some clients, you know, that have done well in the property market have onset that to their tenants, you know, and have been reasonable with rent increases and looking at, you know, that. It's more the new investors I felt that, you know, maybe bought pre-COVID, that, you know, their bank and their mortgage requirement is such, and because of all these issues with the increases, they've had no choice, you know, and tenants also must, you know, understand that as well.
Well, they do, yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's see how it transpires, Bronx. You and me and Tina, we'll surely find out.
Surely we will.
Watch this space, guys. If Branka and I are pulling our hair out in our next Novak news, you'll know why.
Thank you, CLEO. Thanks for your time.
Have a great evening, everyone. See you later.
Thank you.
Bye.